Hello, people. This is Anonymous Recap, and I hope you all are doing very fine today. Today, we'll be talking about something I found to be very important to me, and I hope you guys find it to be interesting also. It might get most of you angry because I understand that from the country of which I came from, we are mostly religious, could be Christians or Muslims, but I think I have to talk about this because although most of you might be, the way you perceive me might be different in the fact that you expect Anonymous Recap to be kind of a hacker that gets to hack things like the government. And I don't have to hack the government because this is our government we are talking about. And what we are trying to do is we are trying to bring about a good government, an inclusive government, a government that will be beneficial not just to me, not just to the government, but also to the masses. And we cannot achieve that with the mindset that have been that have been that we all often use, the kind of mindset that I see in the country. If we must achieve that which we want to achieve in the future and in the present time, we must change our mindset, the narrative of how we perceive life. You see, life, the world is evolving so fast that if you're not fast enough, you'll be left behind. And for that reason, I believe that we have a lot to we have a lot to render, not just to the government, and also to the people, and also to ourselves. Because, in as much as we have the government issues to tend to, we also have our personal lives to tend to. That brings me to the question: what do we have to say about religion? You see, I happen to be from a very strong background, religious background. My mom happens to be a very strong person of faith. She's a believer and a good worshiper. But on a personal terms, if you ask me based on what I think about religion and how it has affected Africans, not just Nigerians, so much that these days when I see people, I see just the destitute ones. I am saying this based on the comments Pastor Suleiman made the previous days ago. I would have still made this conversation, or should I say this, my opinion, still if he never made the statements. But the problem here is this: what and how do I perceive religion in Africa? I see religion as something that has little effect, that has little contribution to what we ought to be and to the level of which we ought to be. Because when you talk about religion today, what contribution has religion offered to the country? We cannot place our hands on many, but we could talk about the charity initiative that they have put in place, not as much as we all would expect, but to a certain extent that is a little bit acceptable, maybe to the congregations and not to the people in general. But if you begin to look at the country, the world, and how the world has evolved in a short period of time, because when you look at the world 5 years ago and today, you found out that the world has evolved so fast that we have been left behind, and we still don't know that we have been left behind. And when you look at the most successful countries today, you begin to ask yourself questions like, are these countries as religious as we are today? Because I believe that in Africa, not just in Nigeria, let me take Nigeria for example, because I believe Nigeria to be the stronghold of Christianity in Africa. And in Nigeria, we have the richest pastors in the world when it comes to religion, Christianity. We have one of the biggest titles in the world when it comes to religion and Christianity. We have one of the highest numbers of Christians in the world when it comes to that's religion. Then you talk about Islam. We also have this hardcore mentality towards Islam, and it has, from my point of view, from the way I say things and from the things I believe you already know, that this religion has not helped us in any way. It has not helped us in any way. But what I've seen so far, what I've come to observe is it has brought us down so much that we solely depend on this religion belief that we cannot do without it. It is like it is either religion or nothing. And that mindset is so embarrassing that it pains me because I am from Nigeria and Africa. I know a lot of you expected me to talk about politicians and politicians and politicians, but most times we should understand that it is still it is still from the masses, it is still from the citizens, like the masses, the civilians you have in the country. They are the ones that makes up this group of people that runs the affair of the government, that runs the affair of the nation. If we don't restructure our mindset as individuals, we will still bring out the same set of people, primitive individuals, primitive mindsets, who don't have the interest of the people at hand, but rather selfish interests, and that of the political party and the political cabal. Nigeria is a beautiful place to be. Trust me, I know this. But we have to think the way forward. We should stop the way we behave, the way we think, the way we perceive religion to be. Most times, I believe the reason why people would believe so strongly in religion is because the church, most times, to me, seems like a place for the destitute, because you are in the church because you have a problem, you have this kind of low self-esteem that you don't want to fight your problems yourself, you don't want to seek for the solutions of your problem yourself, you solely want to depend on your pastors because you feel this anointing, or you feel this I don't know how to say this, but you feel this, you feel justified when this prophecy comes to you, and you feel like you have been right all this while, that the problem has not been from you. The problem is from us, and the problem is from us. And we keep on blaming the white, the slavery days and things like that. Gone are the days, gone are the days. We could still talk about that. I still believe that the foreigners still have influence in what happens in the country, but that does not stop us from changing our mentality and mindset. When you look at the richest countries in the world, when you look at the richest countries in the world, they are not as religious as we are, but they are successful. And that is why most times I don't comment so much on the China issue between the Muslim and the Chinese government, because we should understand that a country that is as successful as China, you would always have people who have bad things to say about them. Whereas if Nigeria is successful today, you would see a lot of people try to bring us down because we are successful. And so, what should we be doing at the moment? I believe that Christianity is good, Islam is good, religion is good, but there is a limit to everything. There is a limit to everything. Okay, and we should perceive religion as something we should do, but not a necessity. Okay, it is not a necessity, but it is something we can do. It is something we can bring into our culture because of the moral attributes it brings into the society. But first and first, we should think about what are other countries doing that we are not doing. It is very important because most times when I do some certain things that it end up not going the way I expected, the first thing that comes to my mind is maybe I did something wrong. Probably it could be it's probably that's the case because I did something wrong. If I want to solve this, I have to find a way not to do the same or not to repeat the same over again. So we should think of what are other countries doing that we are not doing right, and how can we resolve this. There are so many ways we can go about this, because when it comes to, I can tell you this, I have been to so many places. No be say now we pray pass, but still now we walk pass. In many of this country, do you believe they work less time but they earn the most? But in Nigeria, we work the most, but still we end the list. And that tells you how deep this has eaten us that we don't even have what it takes to compete with the world. So this video, I'm going to cut it short because what I'm trying to say is religion is good, but the problem we have today in Nigeria and Africa is not just about the politicians. The politicians, they have a problem, okay? But religion is also a very big problem. And if we don't tackle this problem, it is going to cost us so much. It is going to cost us so much. And let me tell you something. If we don't tackle the religion problem, it is going to the situation is still going to be the same. Because I have not seen a country that is as religious as Nigeria and they are successful. There is no place in the world you will find that. So that is why I believe if we want to move forward, we have to think of how we can balance things. There need to be balance in a country as huge and vast as Nigeria. We have the capability of being on top of the world map. I don't believe that we should be at the level of which we are at the moment. We should be at the highest level in the world in terms of competition. Because when you look at the individuals we produce, we have a lot of individuals who are creating good names for the country, not just for themselves, but also for the country. They are representing us great and vastly, not just in Nigeria, but in every part of the world. It tells you a lot if the government begins to do what they ought to do, and also we tackle the mentality and the mindset towards religion. It is very important. I know a lot of things I want to say, but if I begin to say everything I know, seriously, you might begin to say this guy hates religion and he hates Christianity and things like that. He hates Muslims and he hates Christians, but that's not the case. There are some certain things I know I can say to you that your pastors don't want you to know. There are some certain things I can say to you that your reverends don't want you to know, because in ignorance, that is how this whole churches and this whole churches you see today, that is how they move, because you have to be ignorant. Because when you are ignorant, you seek and you fumble the more. So that is why I don't want to talk much about this, because I don't want you all to feel like I am trying to dent the image of Christianity and all that. Trust me, if you go through the scriptures yourself, you go and read the original text, you would you also travel and you understand what I'm trying to say. You go to the successful countries, you understand. The world have passed the days where you talk about religion the way we talk about it in Nigeria today. Today it's all about productivity. You understand? It's all about inclusive government. It is all about a lot of things excluding excluding religion. Trust me, it has to do with a lot of things excluding religion. And religion can be something we can add into our own based on the fact that we must not do like others, we must not be like others. But we have to look at these people to know what they are actually doing right, that we need to implement into our own system. These are the kind of things you see. And that is why you see I don't want to say I don't hate any country. That is why I love China, because though we might say that the government are dictators, they treat the citizens so wrong. I don't want to say this, but I can tell you a lot of Americans in China are not saying the same. They are not saying the same thing. They are saying something different. And a lot of people in China are not saying the same thing. They are saying something different. So now what we have to do is look at these countries, China, America, UK, most of these European countries. We should ask ourselves questions like, what are we doing that we are not doing right? Okay, if we can do this, I trust you to trust me. I trust you to trust me. We would go biggest level. We will be recognized in the world. Trust me, because we have hardworking people, we have intelligent people, but the problem is we are not doing the things that we are supposed to do. We are doing the outdated things and things like that. And also, we should also learn to elect people who would represent us, not people who would be against us. Like you've seen over the short period of time, where a certain government cherish the terrorists and the bandit more than the good citizens of the country. So that would be all for today. But what I'm trying to say is we have to change our mindset towards religion. And trust me, if I tell you what I know about religion, you might not be happy about it. But there is no need to talk about that. All I'm trying to say is we can still have religion and still have a good government, an inclusive government. And the way we can go about that is to source for information. How are these people doing the things that they do? And what should we do to overturn the situation? Because the rate of poverty is growing so fast. And I don't like that. So that will be all for today. And I will try as much as I can to get you more content like this. But I know you all want me to talk about the politicians. Don't worry, next time we'll talk about the politicians and the crazy things that have been going on in the country. And I trust you all to stay safe and be good, be productive, active, and do the right things. Trust me, when you do the right things, you have peace of mind. And I want to say one thing. This might sound strange to you. You see, I always believe, and I have always believed that the heaven that was promised to you by the so-called pastors and religious leaders, the heaven that was promised to you is here on earth. Don't waste your time thinking of going to a heaven that you've not seen. Think of how you can take advantage of the good life you can have here today. Then probably you can still enjoy the heaven when you get to heaven. But right now, the heaven that was promised, I believe it to be here on earth. So that will be all for now today. So stay safe and be cool. Be good and productive.